Welcome in. Hello, everyone. We are back here. It is April. What's today's date? I always look at the date. 22nd here. And how are
April
we?
22nd. Hey, everybody.
Yes, yes. How are we doing?
We're doing great. But because the show is about play and fun, I have props today. I have
Ooh.
props
Oh, you have I don't have
inspired
any
by our
props.
guest.
I don't have any props.
I also, Amani, I think it's funny that I put these on and you didn't even flinch.
Because I probably wasn't really paying close attention. I was looking at other things here, but
You're
yeah,
you're
you
like,
have
it's just
props.
another thing.
It's
It's
just
just
another
another
vanity thing.
shenanigan that Mandy's doing.
Yeah, more
Amani,
shenanigans.
I want to hear about your weekend because you had your brand builders event. You were in Nashville. And I'm
Yes.
just curious, like what did you learn? What happened? And tell people what Brand Builders is.
So Brand Builders is a personal branding organization where they help out many people with personal branding. For example, they help out Eric Thomas. They've helped out Lisa Bilio. They've helped out Ed Milet. Lots of the top thinkers that are in kind of the personal development or really just creatives in general. They help you out with personal branding. I was there for an accelerator event this week where you go in. It's in Nashville. So I flew into Nashville. I took the red eye Tuesday night into Nashville, and it was Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday. And you get to be around like 65 other entrepreneurs, creatives who are looking to kind of grow and increase and improve their personal brand. You get to be put on the hot seat. You have the chance to ask AJ and Rory Vaden, who are like the CEO, the head of the company, ask them a question. My question was about my book title. And at first we have six people at a table. So you go around and you help out each person. One person goes for their 30 minutes, then they get on the hot seat, and then you repeat. So my hot seat was like the second person on Friday. So I was the second to last person to go. Other people went on Thursday and they're asking questions like, I'm looking to scale. I want to ask Rory and AJ the right question. What should my question be? And so that's kind of the activity. I went on the hot seat for my book title, and it was an amazing experience for that 8 minutes.
I watched it. So for those who don't know, Amani sent me the video of him being on the hot seat,
Yeah,
and it was spectacular. So Amani shared what his book title, his three potential book titles would be, and
right.
they gave him direct feedback. Like that is such a gift. That was such a gift. So tell us. So do you want to? Are
Mhm.
you? Is this a reveal?
Oh, no, no, we can.
Can you tell
Well,
us?
yes, we could talk
Or
about the
no?
book title. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So the book title, because it's about R&B groups and why they've disappeared and what does that mean? What happened? Why? And so I came in there with titles like The Return of Real R&B Groups, I Want You Back, based off the Jackson 5 song. There was another title I had, which really ended up being a potential subtitle, which wasn't good at all. So we went through all the titles and wordplay, and I'm going to pull up the title here now. It
Ooh,
says,
you
like,
sharing your screen or no?
no, no, I'm not going to share the screen, but
Okay.
it ended up being Resilient and Brilliant, 7 Keys to Unlocking Your Creativity. And it ties into what I speak about. And it was just like so different from what I was expecting, but the way that they broke it down in terms of how other people perceive the title, how it has to be positive, clear, it was just really, really incredible. And it really opened my eyes. And so I welcome this one, and off and running we go.
I also love the resilient and brilliant tie-in with R&B. I
Yeah,
think that is
yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
Super sweet. And I love how when you talk about music, how you do share it as a business lesson of like, don't become how to prevent your business from being obsolete, like some of the R&B musicians. And I mean, there's just so many great business lessons from the music history that you have. So that
yeah.
was awesome.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, what about you? Anything interesting happened to you over the weekend as you put on your heart-colored glasses there? Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a lot of props. This is not the
You
last
do,
of it.
you
You're going to
do.
see inspired by our guest.
Okay.
Um, I really pulled my act together this weekend. I did silly things. I cleaned my office.
Mhm.
I got a lot done. There's a lot to be done, and I pulled it together and I started the week in a fresh way. I'm back on my bike cuz I was sick all of March, and
Mhm.
then I went to New York and I haven't been on my bike, which I could solve the world's problems being on a bike.
You
And I
could.
wasn't on my bike. So I got back on my bike and into the fresh San Diego air, and the weather was beautiful. So it was great. It was great. I was on my bike a lot this weekend.
Okay. All right. We
Mhm.
love it. We love it.
Yeah.
Tell the audience, first of all, who we're going to be talking to today,
Okay.
but tell them how you felt when you saw him. His name is Gary Ware. When you saw him speak at WeCon just a couple weeks ago.
I love this. Okay. So I'm going to introduce him and then
Yes.
I'm going to share my thoughts, feelings about this. So we are all about the power of play today. And Gary is the founder of Breakthrough Play. He is a TEDx speaker, he's an author and a super interactive professional speaker. And we had him, he was our opener at WeCon a couple weeks ago. And it was so interactive. It truly delivered on suggesting that we play more. And he really opened my mind to a lot of different things. But the audience, you know how sometimes people ask you to participate and you're like, oh God, one of these. It wasn't one of those. He had us drawing pictures. It was quick, it was fun, it was fast, and it changed the energy in the room. So it's an honor to have Gary Ware with us today
Yes.
to talk
He
more
is,
about play.
he is on the screen now. Round of applause. Yes. There we go. There we
Gary, I
go.
put my tiara on for you. Thank you for being here.
Nikki is like,
Yes.
she is
You
in
look
her
amazing.
element. Yes, she's
Thank
in
you.
her element. Where shall we begin? There's so many places to begin. There's so many conversations to be had. Maybe the first question for you, Gary, is why is play so important in your personal and your professional life?
I'll just be completely honest. We are wired for play. I
Mhm.
know as adults, sometimes we can look at the word, play as, oh, that's just childish or that's just something that kids do. I'll let you know this. Let's break it down to the science, to the biology. We, as humans, are what are considered neotenous creatures. Neoteny means that you retain your juvenile features into adulthood. And what that means is that zest for play, that zest for amusement that, we forget about because we are too busy working, um, is essential. And sometimes when we're feeling that blah, it's not because maybe we had too much cheese. It just might be because we are missing that playful element. And so I'm happy to like break it down on like what play really is. But as adults, why not take advantage of the thing that is wired in us, that is here to help us thrive and be the best version of ourselves.
Mm.
Mhm.
I love that. And something you said in your speech that really resonated with me was playground or proving ground.
Mhm.
What kind of working environment are you creating? Are you creating a playground or are you creating a proving ground? So, can you talk a little bit about that? Because in your
Yeah.
corporate world, I know you were really in a proving ground. And now as an entrepreneur, you're really in a playground. So just can you just cover all those bases?
Yeah. And so during the recon, keynote that I did, I talked a lot about my background. And Mandy, you're absolutely right. In a previous life, I was, digital executive at a digital marketing agency. And in that environment, even though it started as a playground where I was so excited to dive into the work, I saw my colleagues as playmates. It turned into a proving ground. And what I mean by proving ground, I saw the same environment through the lens of I needed to prove myself, that I'm worthy, that I am good enough. And immediately, those people that weren't once like playmates turned into competitors. Like,
Mm,
oh, I better stay on the top of my game, or that person is coming for me. And as you're listening and watching this, you may be thinking, well, isn't that what it's all about? And yes, you can see the world as a proving ground, and yes, you can get ahead in life. However, it's not sustainable. If you've ever burned yourself out, it's most likely because you're trying to prove. And so that was something that opened my eyes once I started to learn about the benefits of play and how we can leverage play to transform environments from seeing it as a proving ground to seeing it as a playground.
Interesting.
yeah.
Now, to continue with that thought process, and also have to say hello to Tom Hazard. He's in the chat here. He loved the alliteration for my title. So thank you. That's further confirmation it's working.
Hi, Tom.
Tom,
Thanks for
yes.
being here.
How, what was your original exposure to improv and how has that helped your business?
Yes. So, um, lot of folks have maybe experimented or done improv in high school or college, you know, if you're in theater or whatnot. That wasn't my thing. I've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway. Yes, I am a fan of Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady, Ryan Stiles, all of them. However, I never thought in my wildest dreams that that would be something that I would pursue. However, there was a mentor of mine, and I, growing, getting better in my career. I'm all about, hey, how can I optimize? What do I need for professional growth? I did Toastmasters, wasn't a fan of it. It did give me really good structure. However, it just wasn't something that I, felt like I wanted to go back. But I still wanted to get better at public speaking because in the job that I was at, that's what you have to do. A lot of presenting to clients, a lot of presenting on stages. And so I wanted to get better. What can I do to get better? And that mentor, he had a very unconventional idea for me. And it was to take an improv class. And I looked at him like he was crazy. I'm like, what? An improv class? Why? I'm not trying to be a stand-up comedian or anything like that. I don't want to be on SNL. And he said, no, it's not about that. It's all about teaching you to think on your feet. It's all about working together as a group. And I said, all right, cool. I'll give it a shot. Fortunate for me, the company I work for had this program where you can submit any sort of professional development you're going to, and they would reimburse it. And so I was like, all right, cool. This is what I'm going to do. I took that improv class, and I was blown away. Now, don't get me wrong. Going into it, I was a little bit hesitant, skeptical. Like, all right, and if I was being honest, a little bit scared, like, uh-oh. Like that first day of school, like when we were kids, like, I'm like, are people gonna like me? Like, what's going on? I don't know any of these people. But quickly, we got into this state of psychological safety because we were playing these silly games. We were playing these games that got us connected because in these activities, you can't look cool. You can't look cool at any of these activities. And what I didn't know then that I know now is that when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, when you allow yourself to just sort of just show your true self and you don't get any repercussions from that, the truth, the trust starts to grow with that group. What happens to the neurochemicals in your body? You're producing dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and that's what is considered the angel's cocktail. And that mix of neurochemicals helps you be more creative. It helps you trust other people, and it helps you feel like you belong. And after that first class, I was hooked. I was so excited to take improv class. And then this is where the magic really happened. I started taking these activities that we're doing because I was seeing the correlations between, oh, in this activity, we're working on listening. Well, at this agency, we need to listen to our clients. What if I brought this game to my team? So I just started to like steal these games that we did in improv class that were helping us be able to prepare ourselves to be able to perform on a stage without a script. And I started bringing them to my team. And it was fun. So again, we're starting to bring back that sense of play. And over time, we started to trust each other more. We started our performance improved. Again, I didn't know all of this. I just was like, this is a cool thing. Y'all should be doing this. As your boss, I'm just going to bring it and we're just going to do it. And everyone loved it. And then I was hooked. And then I became the improv guy where folks were like, hey, can you bring some of those cool improv games? Can we do some of that stuff?
Yeah. So a follow-up. I took my first improv class in probably September of 2023. And after the first class, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really fun. It's like adult play. And then what I started to do is I would take some of the fun games we played in improv class and I take it to my classroom because my students want to become better professional speakers. And so, or public speakers. And so I have them be able to first think on their feet because that's one of the keys to being a public speaker is think on your feet, and then tell stories. So I gave them some games we did, and we play these games. And so their favorite game so far is Thunderdome. We have to list, we go back and forth like serial names and things like that really quickly. That's one of their favorite games. One of my favorite games, they like this too, because then I want to hear your favorite game. Is like if you, me, and Mandy are playing, and I say and I ask Mandy a question, like I say, okay, what's your favorite color? And she says, thank you. And then you ask her a question. Maybe you say, what's your favorite cereal? And then she says, red. And then we keep going around. So I forget
Ooh.
and so if you do it in like a circle of like 12 people, We have to go all around and do that. And they did so well with that. They were like focused and they really like it. They love it because, first of all, I teach this to my 449 class, what it's like at 7 o'clock at night. So they've had a long day. They need to get energized and stuff. So I say all that. What is one of your favorite improv games that you play and like to continue to play?
Oh my gosh. Where do I begin? I think one of my original favorite games to play was it was called Do You Remember When? And it's very simple. It's just in improv, we learned this concept called yes and what yes and is that you accept the offer that your scene partner gives you and you build on it. And remember when is you're talking about a quote unquote fictitious vacation. However, because of the rules of improv, you can't do what we call deny. You can't say no. So, you and your partner, start out and they like, oh my gosh, Mandy, remember when we took that amazing trip to Paris, France? And then Mandy would like, oh my gosh, yes, I remember that trip. And so they're saying yes, and then they'll add on. And then, yeah, we went by the Eiffel Tower and we saw that couple getting engaged. And then, I'll go. And then you go back and forth and you're just sort of adding on, just like as if we were to really take a trip and we're sort of recalling it, but it's all thinking on your feet. It's all made up. We're all getting in agreement. And it's not, we're not trying to put each other down and have the best idea and stuff like that. It's all about, hey, how can we co-create this experience together?
Yeah.
So you had us do that at WeCon, and we had groups of 3, and we did Remember When, and it was the funnest vacation. We created the accidental fun vacation, and that was awesome. That was a simple, easy thing, and it didn't put anybody out, and it really got people's brains like really active. So I want to go not to the Wayback Machine, but the mid-back machine for a second. You're in the corporate grind, right?
Yep.
And you're taking improv classes and you're starting to bring your improv to your corporate world and you're seeing a little bit of a mesh. What was that moment where you said, I'm done with this corporate world. I'm ready to do this on my own? Like, what was there a defining moment, or was it a series of little things? Because I think a lot of our audience are awesome entrepreneurs in a corporate environment, and they might be scared to dip their toe in the water. And stories like these really inspire people. So I'm just curious what your moment was.
Oh my gosh. All right. I thank you for asking me this question because I love answering this question to an audience like this. If I was being honest, I should have just taken the leap because I went from that agency that was very toxic to another agency that was amazing. And I was bringing all these skills, but even though like people were like, wow, you're really good at this, have you considered facilitation? They're like sort of doing that, like nudge me like, no. Like I went to school for marketing communications. Like I'm a digital ad guy. That's my thing. But I was loving this and I was doing all this on the side. Like I was starting to do like retreats and I started doing this thing called resets. And it was just all just a thing. And I was getting better. And again, to myself, the story I was telling myself was, oh, I'm learning this stuff so I can bring it to my team, so I can be the best leader as possible. So then the opportunity came about to start my own agency. So there were these 2 gentlemen that I knew from the sort of industry, marketing industry, and they combined their businesses to start an agency. They were looking for person number 3. That was going to be the person that was going to be a client strategy and, team development. Like that's my jam. So they came to me and they like, hey, Gary, we would love, love to have you join our team. And then of course I was sort of scared. I was like, what, starting my own shop with these 2 people. I don't really know them that well, but then, I was asking some folks, and then the company that I work for, to be honest, if I didn't go that route, I probably would still be there because it was such an amazing environment. And they were the ones who were encouraging me. They're like, yeah, Gary, like this is your chance to like sort of, put your own spin on how the agency world works. So boom, I took that leap. And, that was my intention. If you're familiar with, working at a marketing agency, it's a lot. And I had this belief that it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Yes, the clients are going to be clients, but can we create an environment where, yes, we work our butts off, but yet we do it in service of a life. We have another life. So we're in business together for about 4 or 5 years, and again, I'm still doing these things, but now I have a little bit more flexibility because I'm running my own agency. I'm a co-founder for this agency. So I am in Nicaragua. This is in 20 2018. I'm in Nicaragua on this retreat with a friend of mine, and it's a sort of play adventure service retreat. And it's the last day. We're about to go home. And matter of fact, this was also for my birthday. So it was my birthday week, and we're looking over this beautiful sunset. The sun is going down over the beach, and there's literally baby turtles coming from their shells, making their way out to the ocean. And I'm just like, I look over there, and I'm like, oh, this is so beautiful. I'm like, and then I'm feeling so grateful for the life that I created that afforded me the ability to do stuff like this. I felt so like just elated that I got a tattoo. And the tattoo
Oh.
the tattoo represents harmony, because when I was in college and in the agency world, the same, I got this tattoo that represents chaos. So I'm like, oh, it's like the full circle. We have chaos,
Hmm.
which goes into harmony, chaos into harmony. So I got this tattoo last night there. I go back Monday, doing my normal check-in with my business partner, and he says we need to part ways. He like I forgot to mention, he had pushed out the other business partner like maybe 6 months before that. Should have saw the
Mm.
writing on the wall. I guess
Yeah.
the universe had bigger plans for me. I
Yeah.
just wasn't getting that. But it basically it took my business partner like saying, "Oh, I want to," and he owned 90% of the company, so he had complete voting rights to do stuff like this. I was
Mhm.
blindsided. I was like taken aback. I didn't know what to do. 2 hours after that, so when it rains, it pours. Um, our landlord, me, my wife, and my son, who was about to be one, we were renting this house, and our landlord called me. I'm on my way back home. He called me. He's like, "Hey, Gary, I have some bad news. I'm gonna have to sell the house. So, you and your wife are gonna have to move. I'll give you, about 30, 40 days. But so sorry to hear that. So sorry to give you this news." Right after I essentially lost my job. So I got a, severance, buyout and whatnot. And I was crushed. I was like, what do I do? And so what we decided is so interesting. I'm glad that I did what I did, but the most logical thing would have been just to go get another job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there was a pride element of like, I left my last job to start this thing, and I don't know. So I'm glad that I did what I did, but we sold everything. We moved in with my parents, and my wife was the one who like really inspired me. She's like, "Do it. You can do this." And so then I set out to
That's
figure this
awesome.
out. So it wasn't like some big epiphany. We're like, "I'm gonna do that." No, it was basically getting smacked down and like, oh my gosh. So I don't wish that upon anyone. Um, and if I was like really like honest with myself, I probably should have did that like a long time ago. But I just had it in my mind that like, oh no, this is what I went to school for. So this is what I should be doing. So yeah,
Yeah, but the fall fueled you.
it did.
And that's, I think, the message here, right? Like, how many people would have those two drastic falls in a matter of a short period of time, and it would devastate them and maybe even alter the trajectory of their future. And that fall just fueled you and catapulted you in a way that I'm sure your family is so much better and so much happier as a result. How old is your son now? 6
He's 7, and
and
we have another
7.
child. Yeah.
Oh, you do? So how does that, how do you think that looks for him to see dad starting his own business, growing his own business, learning and experimenting with his own business? I mean, I think that's just such a great example for a kid too.
Yes. And on top of that, I actually get to see him more because that was
Yeah.
one of
You're
the sort of
present. You're present.
disagreements that me and my business partner had, which I think ultimately, led to like us parting ways. Is I was having like, prior to us starting the business, I didn't have kids. It was just me and my partner, and you know, yeah, we did our thing, but we had plenty of time to do all this stuff. But then once there was a kid in the picture, I was like, no, I want to be here. Like I want to be present for these things. I don't just want to just provide for my family and then like, all right, cool. Tell me how it is. Like, if you remember the movie Hook, with Robin Williams back in the day, his character, he's Peter Pan for crying out loud, but like he sort of he forgot what it's like, to play, and he's just
Mm.
busy, so busy,
Yeah.
doing life and work, and he's missing these moments, and I didn't want to miss that. So I think that is a big thing, that I get to be present and see all these things.
It's beautiful.
Interesting. Now, if we fast forward just a little bit, talk to us about why did you decide to do a TED Talk? How did you go about securing the TED Talk? Because that's a big question that many people have, lots of speakers. How do I get a TED Talk? And how did your life and business change after you finished that whole process?
Yes. I put it on a bucket list. Most people are like have like, oh, to Brazil. This was so 5 years before. So I did my TED Talk in, I think it was 2019. 2019 is when I did my TED Talk. And 4 years before that, I put it on like a bucket. I just was brainstorming. I was in one of these professional development things and sort of like a Tony Robbins things. And we were sort of brainstorming, like, what are the big things that you want to
Yeah.
do? And I TED Talk, put that on there. And, it's just on there. It was on the list. And I wasn't necessarily actively pursuing it, but I would tell you what ended up happening that led me to doing it. So uh, I ended up doing some really great talks that got the attention of this TEDx organizer. So it was TEDx UCSD here in San Diego. Um, they reached out to me, and it was December of 2018. It went to my spam. I didn't get the message at first. And it was such a very nice message of like, hey, we would love to talk to you about our upcoming TEDx event. We think you would be a great fit, and please get back to us by this date. I was going in my spam for something else, and I saw it, and I almost missed the date. And then so I reached out, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I'm totally interested. Let me know, blah blah blah. And so we had a really great call. And so with the TEDx, it's all about like, ideas that spread. Like, what's your big idea? And fortunate for me, like this whole idea of play, this whole idea that adults are wired for play. I was on that like soapbox, and the first thing that I did was a Creative Mornings talk. Creative Mornings is like a lower barrier to entry than a TEDx, and that was the first talk that I did on that topic, and it was met with amazing reviews that got their attention. And so then they were curious about like sort of my thoughts. So I have something in addition to this, with TEDx, they don't want you to repeat a talk that you already had. And so I'm like, yeah. Since then I've been evolving this. I like have even more like stuff. And so like I pitched them and like, oh, this is a great idea. Yeah. Like we love this. And so the thing that got me in was that I started to have a body of work that was proving that I can be on a TEDx stage. Some people, and maybe it's fear. I'm not sure what it is. They're saving everything for the TEDx. But at the end of the day, you have to pitch yourself. There's probably so many people that are submitting for any given, TEDx event. If you have proof that you can speak on a stage, that you can command a stage, that you're captivating, that you're a storyteller, it makes it easier for them to select you. And I know that was the big thing because they saw that Creative Morning thing. It aligned with the theme that they had. And then they reached out to me.
Now, my cousin goes to Creative Mornings. Can you share with everybody what Creative Mornings is?
Yeah. Creative Mornings is a morning lecture that takes place in cities all over the world. So how it works is a number of cities has their own Creative Mornings chapter. San Diego has a chapter. Orange County has a chapter. There's a chapter in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. There's chapters all over the world. The cool thing about this is that at the beginning of the month, Creative Mornings, like headquarters, sends out a theme, a word for the month. And each chapter goes to find a speaker that can speak on that theme. And so you can go to the Creative Mornings YouTube channel and watch all of these amazing talks, all on the same theme, but just their own take. and it's awesome. And so San Diego has a very active Creative Mornings community. San Diego's Creative Mornings is the last Friday of the month, and yes, you get to see these and it's free. It's a free morning lecture series, donuts, coffees, but more importantly, community. There's so many amazing folks that you meet there, and yes, you will be inspired by the talk. I tell people it's not necessarily about the talk. Yes, there might be a talk you're like, oh wow, this is interesting, but like just to be in community with creative folks that not to get too woo woo, but they have that high vibe, right? Like when you're around people that bring that energy, you leave feeling like, yeah, I could do anything. Yeah.
Operate at a high vibration. Okay, Amani, I promise I'll bounce this back to you, but I just want to follow up. Speaking of community, what should we know about the community that you built with your Christina Aguilera fan site?
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
deep cuts. All right, deep cuts. All right. For the folks who are watching and you're like confused, like Gary, Christina Aguilera fan site. Yes, back in early 2000s, like in the 90s, and when I was Team Christina. I wasn't Team Britney. I was Team Christina. Flag in the ground. And this is the thing that actually got me interested in going to art school. It's like I taught myself how to build web pages. If you're familiar with GeoCities, it was like a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. And I was in a band. I was in a ska band, so I built our web page using GeoCities. And then I was a big Christina Aguilera fan. I was like, I'm going to build a Christina Aguilera fan site, and I built the page, and then I built a forum. I put like her discography and all this stuff on there. And if you know MIDI sound, like Amanda, you know what a MIDI sound is, right? Like I had the because you couldn't get the actual MP3s yet. Like it wasn't easy to program those. It was like a mini of a genie in a bottle that would. Anyways, people like, yeah, and like it was like a thing. Like social media wasn't really a thing then. I can only imagine like if we had things, like Twitch or we had Instagram and Facebook, it would be a completely different thing. But yeah, that was my foray, and yeah, I'm not ashamed of being a Christina Aguilera fanboy. It's all good.
I'm a fangirl to her too. Let's raise a glass to Christina. It takes the test of time.
Since you're both fans, what is your one Christina Aguilera song? Maybe I'll ask you first and then you, Gary.
Ooh. Beautiful.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the name of it, but you know the song, right?
Yeah.
It's the one. Beautiful is a good one. I was gonna say a Candyman.
Oh, okay. Another deep cut. Okay.
Yeah, deep cut for sure.
Turn to You. I like that one. That's my favorite Christina one there. Now, and I put you can see it kind of above my shoulder here. I put my Mariah Carey fan, thing in the ground too. So I get it. Yes, so I get it.
I was going to ask Amani, when are you building your Mariah Carey fan site? When?
That has passed, but it's okay. How did getting the TED Talk change your life professionally?
Oh, so there's something about certain distinctions that open doors. And because TEDx is very like it's not like it's like, oh, it's hard to get. It's possible for anyone to get on the TEDx stage. It just takes some skill building. But like once you have been on the TEDx stage, then people start to say, oh, wow, that takes a lot of effort. Therefore, your credibility is up here. So when presenting to talk at specific events, I make sure to mention, yes, I've been on the TEDx stage. And it's one of those things, hey, if I can rock the TEDx stage, I'm confident I can rock your stage for your regional event in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I got you. And nothing against their events, but it takes a lot of, people, game recognizes game. They realize that it takes a lot of effort and practice and dedication to get to the level that, to present there. Because yes, you may get selected to present at a TEDx event. However, if your talk is not of proper caliber, believe it or not, you may not even get to be on the YouTube page. Like, yeah, You may present and they record it, but TEDx has the right to say, nope, this does not meet our standards. This will not go on our YouTube page.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of being a professional speaker, when you first got into it as an entrepreneur, I want to ask you, what were your expectations, and did it meet or exceed it? And where do you see your career going from today?
Yes. So let's rewind back to 2018 as I'm figuring out what am I doing. I knew that I wanted to use experiential methods as a way to help teams and individuals transform. I knew improv was a big component of that, and then in that point, I was also understanding about play and playfulness. And so I'm experimenting. I was doing what I called complimentary recess, where I would go to an organization as a way to, hey, first one's on me. And the sort of situation. And I had like a 45-minute session where I would just bring these activities just to help them revitalize, help them connect and whatnot. And the only ask was, hey, if you see something for us to work together, please, let me know. Or if you can make an introduction to someone else, I really appreciate that. And I started to realize that it's a show, don't tell. For the things that I did, if I can get people to experience it, they are more likely to be like, we need this here. They will start to see all the possibilities. And so that's where I realized it was so challenging to just go and try to get people to picture it. Like if I would be talking to someone, they like, so you do what again? And that's why I started doing the complimentary recess. But I said, how can I scale? To go to all these companies in San Diego, oh my gosh, takes a lot of effort.
There's only one of you. Yeah.
There's only one of me. And so then I was like, events. If I can get to a conference, if I can do like a breakout, if I can do, heaven forbid, yes, a keynote, and I can get people to see firsthand and experience firsthand what it feels like to do this and get them to realize, all right, if I feel like this with this complete stranger right here, imagine if we did this at my job and me and Mark in accounting get a chance to connect. How,
especially Mark in accounting. Especially.
We all know. We know Mark in accounting.
We know Mark. I'm married to one, but not a Mark, but I know.
We know what's up. We know what's up. And so that was the thing. And so then that was my mission. I was like, all right, how can I? And then again, I wasn't necessarily demanding you need to pay me X. It was like, let me show you. Let me offer my services, complimentary to your event. Let me delight your attendees. You will not be disappointed. And that was the thing. And then the business started to flow. And my unique thing was yes, I can speak on these topics, but I like to say I want to speak as little as possible and get you to do things. And that was my thing until 2020.
Yes.
And then I had to go back to the drawing board, and that's where I started to experiment with the virtual landscape. But that's for another story.
We all experimented with the virtual landscape. We have that other story for another time. But yeah, 2020, it tested all of our skills virtually for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So we did that. I think now is actually the perfect time. We're a little early, but that'll give us more time on the back and ask you some more questions. But we want to flip the script and let you ask both Mandy and myself a question. No question is out of bounds. Yes. Whatever question you want to ask us, it can be the same one for both of us or individual ones. Who do you want to ask the question to first?
All right. I'm just going to put both. I have two questions, and I was having a hard time deciding which one I want to ask to which, because I would love to know. I'm like, oh yeah, Amani would be good with this, but Mandy would also. So I'm just going to put both of the questions out there.
Oh, okay. Fun. I like that.
And then you can choose which one you want to answer. So the two questions are, what is something that most people like that you don't? So unpopular opinion, that's something I'm curious about that. And then also, what is one of your quirky habits?
Oh, well, okay.
You can answer any of them.
Let's see here. Okay, what is something that most people like that I don't like? Watermelon.
Oh, there you go. And I love watermelon. I love it.
do not like that. So that
And we have friends that their daughters love watermelon, and we literally will bring a whole watermelon over, we'll cut it up, and they will devour. Watermelon's a big play in our world. That's funny that you say that.
I
Money.
will pass
How
on that.
how come?
I just don't like it. Never have, never will. It's just not planned.
Is
I
it the
love that.
consistency? Is it like the mealy consistency, or is it the seeds?
All of it.
All
Okay,
the
okay.
above.
I have a follow-up to you though, Amani, because you like
Yeah,
sweets.
I do.
So what if like a super delicious watermelon cocktail was placed in
Oh,
front
yeah.
of you? Would you
I'm good
say
with
no to
that.
that? Oh, you're
Oh,
Yeah,
so
good
you'll
at
drink
that.
it in juice
yeah,
form,
yeah.
just not in.
Yes. Not in the physical form. Yes, no.
That's like
Okay.
me and what's it, coconut.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm the same way with coconut too, Gary. I don't like coconut water, but I like coconut flavored things.
yeah, like
What is your
in like a mai tai, well, not mai tai, like pina colada.
Yeah, yeah, or a latte.
Yeah,
Yeah. Either or, all of it, all of it. I don't know how to answer that. What's something that other people like that I don't like? I love a lot. I love everything. And the things I don't like, most people don't like. It's probably easier for me to answer what is
yeah.
something that I love that people don't wait, is it the opposite, right?
What's something that you love that most people don't love?
Curiosity. Like I don't mind two things. I don't mind if somebody asks question after question after question, but I know that can grate on some people, but that gives me energy. Um, and I also love feedback. I think feedback is a gift, even if it is like awful, brutal. I'm like, bring it on, because that's how we get better. But I know a lot of people are like, no, 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 no. Don't tell me what you really think. I don't want to know what you really think. I think that's easier. I don't know. I have to really think on that.
Okay. And then the other
Yeah.
question was a quirky habit, something
Yeah,
that
Oh
we
yeah.
do. Go ahead. You want to go
No, you
first?
go, Amani. You go
Thank
first.
you. I'm thinking about this one for me. Ooh, I don't know. Like, I would think for me, kind of quirky. Most people like I love a good ballad. I love a good slow jam. I can listen to slow jams all day, all night. People kind of, they're like, that's kind of strange. Like, who wants to think and hear about love all the time? I love it. I love it. So that's
Ah,
what comes to mind for me. Like, of course, the Christina song I turned to you is a ballad. So I will always be in my slow jam bag.
Amani, Cassie's on our production team. We were looking at the YouTube page earlier today, and one of our previous episodes, you must have copied one of your Twitch titles on accident,
Oh, yeah.
because it said nod to slow jams. I'm like, what is this? This has to be Amani. There's slow. It was
Oops, you
Scott
made
Turner's episode. And I'm like, I don't think
Oh,
Scott Turner didn't have any slow jams in it anyway. So yeah, slow
okay.
jams. You do love a slow jam.
I do. Yeah. How about
I think there's a lot quirky about me. I mean, I love writing an out of office poem. When I go out of the office, I think the best thing you could do for your customers is eliminate the sting of you not being available by writing a great out of office not even a great one. Just write a out of office poem or an out of office haiku. But I got a lot that's quirky about me, but that I would say that's the first thing that came to mind.
oh my god.
yeah.
Yes, it's so
Yeah.
funny. So I originally was like, oh, Amani was going to be the something that most people like that you don't, and then Mandy, because I was like, oh, there's so much quirky about Mandy, so I was going to ask you, but then I was like, it would be interesting to see the opposite.
Well, we
Yeah.
got it. What about you? Can you answer those questions?
Yeah,
What's something quirky about you, Gary?
Something quirky about me. I love acapella. Like I love everything acapella. Like, and I've always loved it. And so yeah, I love nerding out on stuff like that. So that's something that's quirky. I'm left-handed, so that's quirky in and of itself.
Mhm.
It brings its own sort of things. And what's quirky about it, and my wife's like, up again. There, yep, Gary, there goes Gary. She like noticed it before, and she like tries to like circumvent, but I have a habit of just noticing other lefties. I'm like, hey, lefty, hey, what's up, lefty? And she's like,
Do you do it in that voice, or you're like, hey,
no,
lefty? Like, do you like
no,
you're such a slow jam
Don't use
voice.
the voice. No, don't use the voice. Well, they feel like a little weird, you know.
Don't use the voice.
Yeah, that's weird. That's what the weird
Uh.
stuff. But it's something that that most people like that I don't. Coconut's a big one. Like I don't like as a texture or something. Funny story on that. Like my wife loves coconut, which is great because there's certain things she's like if she doesn't want me to eat it because I love sweets. If there's coconut in it, like I just not gonna have it. And so she got these what is it like uh the more like overnight oats, like prepared, and then it's made with like coconut milk or something like that. And she's like Gary, it has coconut in it. You're probably not gonna like it, but I couldn't taste it. I tasted it like it was the first thing that I was able to taste. And I was like,
Oh,
nope,
wow.
nope,
Mhm.
nope. Sorry.
Okay.
I think
No
if you
coconut.
have that thing, it's a thing. I mean, I know a lot of people that's the same. Like they have that thing. All right, I want to pirouette for a second over to your book, Playful Rebellion. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like that. Just like, if I didn't have so many chords, I'd stand up and do a
Yeah, I know,
pirouette
same.
for you. Yeah, yeah. I would knock this whole production comes crumbling down if I stand up and pirouette right now.
We don't want that.
Um, tell us about your book, Playful Rebellion. It came out in 2022. And I'm curious because Amani has his second book coming out. I had my first book. I'm writing my second book. Like, what's something you learned about yourself as a result of writing that and launching your book?
That I could write a book. I never
Woo!
thought some people like I'm gonna be an author. I have a friend who's written multiple books. And I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I still think I got about 3 more books in me." I was like, "What?" So that was the big one for me, because the thought of writing a book, like, it just overwhelmed me. I'm ADHD, and, like, sitting down to write a book, like, it reminds me of being in school and having to write, like, essays and stuff like that. So there's a lot of PTSD with that. Um, but in the spirit of play, I found a playful way to write the book in a way that was very enjoyable. And it was something that I was looking forward to. And so love to give this tip. So if someone is like, yeah, I have an idea for a book, but I couldn't imagine myself writing a book, what I did after I organized everything and like had the flow was me and my editor. We sat down once a week for about hour to 90 minutes, and we went through each chapter, and I would tell stories. And
Mhm.
we're on Zoom, so we had it recorded, we had it transcribed, and all of that became the messy first draft. But one of the cool things was because my editor wasn't versed in play and playfulness, she would ask questions to clarify for her. So
Mm.
I would it would be great because it would challenge me to like really think about like, all right, what am I trying to portray here? And then she would give me challenges like, hey, all right, we're doing great. You need like 2 or 3 more references here or an example here. Your challenge for the next week is to go find those, and we're going to talk about them. And so that was the thing that was like eye opening for me, and it like makes sense. Like, all right, writing a book doesn't mean that you have to sit down and crank out like 500,000 pages every day. Like if your way of doing it is telling stories, do that. Like just get it out of your head so that you can do it. So that was the thing. Like that like me writing the book, it would just and I was very proud. Like I was like, yes, I did it. It's self-published, and so I learned a lot about the process of self-publishing a book. I learned what not to do. And in the spirit of improv, we say mistakes are gifts. So yeah, it was a cool process.
That's
How
awesome.
how did because everyone thinks, and you could tell me how your experience was, they think that when you write a book, you're gonna get like hundreds of thousands of people to get the book, and you're gonna be elevated to different stages, and your life is gonna be completely transformed into like this celebrity lifestyle. What was the after effects and the results for your business and personally once you finished and released the book?
Yeah. So the first thing was after we were done like editing the manuscript, I was like, yay. Now what? Like so I had to like get schooled on the self-publishing process and everything like that. And then this is where my marketing background came in. It's like, all right, cool. I had been around folks that had book launches. I was really excited about that, but knew I couldn't do it by myself. So I hired someone who she still works with me now, Hannah. Hannah, if you're watching this, she actually most likely is going to be because she's going to help me make sure that this gets out into the world. Hannah was the one that I collaborated with to get out everything. We worked on a plan to get people, as ambassadors and stuff like that. So it took a lot of work. It's not like a you make it, they will come situation. It took a lot of work to find people that would be interested in reading advanced copies, to wanting to write a review, and to remind them over and over again. And for a brief moment, and I got the screenshot during the pre-sale, I was number one in
Yeah,
two
you were.
categories.
Yes,
And
which
so,
ones?
it was in, I think it was in self-help, and then workplace, something with workplace. So I got
Awesome.
those screenshots. I was like, yes. And then 3 days later, a book by a very well-known author, like sort of just did that. But anyways, it's all good. But to answer your question, Amani, when it launched, the initial launch was great because again, we had all those people that said, yeah, we're gonna buy a book, and we reminded them. And I planned it perfectly that when I did my pre-sale, like the kickoff to like the pre-sale, I spoke on a stage, and that was like the announcement at that stage as my closing thing. Hey, by the way, you like this concept? Hey, I have a book. And I launched at another event that I was keynoting at, and then they were amazing and did a book signing event there. So those things helped the initial thing. But so after all of that is over, then it's like cricket. And so, but still, just like with the TEDx thing, people recognize it's not like an easy thing to do. And so as a speaker, as a workshop facilitator, it is something in my arsenal that so in situations I was working with this nonprofit, they didn't have a big budget. They bought 50 copies of my book. I said, that's good enough. You buy, you bought 50 copies of the book, I got you. And if we can get people to write reviews, that's awesome as well. So it does give me some leverage. I've had I was speaking at an event, and there were 500 people. They bought 500 copies. So it does help. But it's not like now I'm a New York Times best-selling author and this, that, and the other, and Oprah's calling. No.
Yeah. No,
She's not calling yet.
Yet.
Not yet.
Good
Yet.
point. Yet.
Mhm.
So if anyone knows Oprah and you wanna just, I'm cool with that.
Slide
go
into
back-
Ope's DMs.
Yeah. If we go back to when Gary was 21, just turned 21, and now we're going to give that younger version of Gary advice based on everything that you've been through and now. What advice would you give your younger self?
You are worthy. Stop playing small.
And with that, I go to Mandy to close it out.
Great advice. We all need that advice. That's so great. Yeah. That's so great. I have a question about April Fool's Day.
Oh, yeah, please.
And pranks. So I love pranking people too. If you go back and listen, we had a show on April 1st, 21 days ago, and I got to talk about my favorite April Fool's Day pranks. And when I learned this about you, I'm like, I knew we'd be friends forever. So tell me about your favorite April Fool's Day prank that you've ever played, and then one that's been played on you. Maybe it doesn't have to be your favorite, but the first one that comes to mind.
So they're together.
Oh, okay.
Perfect question. So my sisters, we're all 4 years apart. I'm the oldest. They know that I love April Fools, and every year, I don't have to do anything going forward. They're still like, what's he gonna do? Like every year, on guard, yeah. As April's coming up, they're just like, yeah, on high alert. Gary's gonna do something. So this one year, my youngest sister is like, I'm gonna get him. He always gets me. I'm gonna get him. And so I love mac and cheese. My mom makes amazing mac and cheese. And so at this point, like I'm not living at home, and I'm in San Diego, and my sister says, hey, mom made some mac and cheese. So I'm not even thinking. You mentioned mac and cheese, it scrambles my whole brain. I'm not even thinking.
Right. You blindly leading towards mac and cheese. Yeah.
And so so she's like, hey, you better come and get some before it's gone. And that's the thing. Like if mom makes mac and cheese, if you're not there, like you miss out. Like that's just the unspoken rule. Like you get it while it's there. If you don't happen to show up, we're not saving you any. So like, all right, cool. I get some. It's already prepared. So that's the first thing. I'm like, it's already prepared in a container for me. All right, cool. And then so I'm like, all right, this is what's up. So I'm like, all right, I should have known. Like my spidey senses were tingling a little bit, but I'm like, all right, let me take this. And then I get home. The second thing was my wife wasn't interested in having some. And that was the thing where I'm like,
Red flag.
Something's up with this.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, all right, something is up. I'm like, honey, you sure this is mom's mac? She's like, nah, I'm not gonna have that. And I'm like, what's up with this mac and cheese? Like, and then so my wife spilled the beans, like, because my sister's like, do not eat the mac and cheese. And so they like put like hot sauce, they put all this stuff in the mac and cheese to try to make it as spicy as possible. It wasn't that spicy, but like kudos for them. But they didn't know that I hadn't had it yet. They didn't know that I knew. And so I'm like, I'm going to use this to my advantage. And so they're waiting for me to eat this mac and cheese so I can be like, and so a day goes by. Like, I haven't said anything. And they're like, hey, like they're sort of nodding. I was like, and I'm going to take the bait. I'm like, oh, I just been so busy. Like, so that should have been their clue that I was on, because you don't wait. Like, you eat this.
Yeah, you eat it
fresh.
ready. Yeah, right away.
So anyway, so then, but I had it's like not that bad. It's not mom's, but it's not that bad. And then, but see, this is the thing. When I originally knew that, what I thought it was my mom's, there was this guy, he was doing some video work for me, and he was giving me a discount. And I said, you know what? For giving me a discount, we were like together when my sister texted. I'm like, my mom has some mac and cheese. I'll give you some. Like, it's really good. And then I found out it was not. So I told him, I don't have my mom's, but I have some. Like, it's all right. And he's like, oh yeah, I have some. Like, and he's like, I like spice, whatever. So then I gave it to him. And then they asked. So my sister's like, so I forgot how they did it. And I said, oh, you know what? I just want to be a nice guy. And I told him, I said, I gave it to my friend Sean. He,
the guilt.
Yeah, like I just gave it to him because mom makes amazing mac and cheese. He gave me a discount. I gave it out to him. So it's all right. If mom makes more, I'll get it. Whatever. And then they were like, what? They're like, you gave that to him? I was like, yeah, why? We put spices and stuff, and then I did a Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm like, what? He's allergic to pepper. You remember on Mrs. Doubtfire? How
Yes.
Mrs. Doubtfire put all that pepper in there, and then Rob Lowe's character was like, I'm like, what? There's pepper in there? He's allergic to pepper. Oh no. And I'm like freaking out. And then I said, gotcha. Anyways, so
that was a reverse April Fool's. That's awesome. That was a real twofer.
Yeah, it was a twofer. So I have to give them props because that was well planned. Well planned.
That's great. Okay.
What can we do? How can we best support you, promote you, just to kind of continue to spread the word of Gary Ware? What can we do for you?
Yeah, well, if you're watching this and you're like, this sounds interesting, I'm curious about what this guy is all about, hit me up. Add me on LinkedIn. We'll have the LinkedIn link. You can go to my website, breakthroughplay.com. You can buy the book. Yes. I'm happy to come. I love play and how play can assist you in transformations. I'll geek out with this all day, every day. So yeah.
I love that. So Gary's book is Playful Rebellion. So for those of you listening on your podcast platform, it's Playful Rebellion. And then Gary, what is your website? Repeat your website for us.
Yeah, breakthroughplay.com.
Breakthroughplay.com. And then I can say firsthand, because I was just an audience, if you are a planner or if you organize any kind of event, book him as a speaker. He is an excellent opener, but I almost think because it's so interactive that right after lunch, which is the hardest slot, I have spoken that right after lunch segment so many times. I think you get the crowd up and running that like even after lunch is if you have like, how do I energize people? Get him involved with your as a speaker at your events, because you crushed it. You did such a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for spending time with us. It was great to see you again at WeCon, and we'll make sure to see you sooner than the last time. And we'll come out to Vegas, to San Diego, and check you out there. And just thanks for being a great guest and continue to spread the word of play.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being here, Gary. See you soon.
Yeah.
Round of applause. We'll put you back in the green room. So round of applause here. Okay, Manny, break down what is going to happen next week because someone's going to be out of town, I believe, right?
Well, not next week, the week after.
Okay, so next week, talk us about next week.
Well, next week. We have Heather Cox Codes.
Oh, yes.
And round two with her. We had her last year, social media manager, expert extraordinaire.
Yes.
So much is going on in the world of social media with Threads, with TikTok, with Meta, the Meta Suite. And there is no better expert. So if you are curious at all about what you should do to increase your visibility online or just have random questions about social media, you're going to want to tune in because Heather Cox Codes knows it all. And we're really, really honored to have her back.
All right. So tune in.
She's a friend of the podcast.
Yes, a close friend of the podcast, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. on the West. Make sure to share this podcast and all of our episodes with your friends, peers, and colleagues. And don't forget to rate and review and subscribe. And with that, we will see everyone next week. Take care, everyone.
Have a beautiful day. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.